In 1967, a country musician by the name of Sonny James released a song that became a very popular song that year. The title of the song was "It's the Little Things." And as you might imagine, the lyrics of the song as you hear it or sing it bring up various things. It's the way you touch my hair. It's the way you look at me. It's the way you do this, that, the other thing. It's those things. It's the little things that let me know that you love me and that I love about you. Now, you and I have been involved in those sorts of situations ourselves. Not to be outdone, in 1989, Robert Earl Keen, who I've never heard anyone say was a romantic poet or songwriter, wrote and released a song, the title of which was "It's the Little Things." How original. And it starts out in much the same way. It's the way you touch my hair. It's the way you do this. It's the way you do that. And he begins the chorus, "It's the little things." And by the end of the chorus, you're very much aware of the fact that it's the little things that really make him angry. You and I have been involved in both of those songs. In our lives, we've been involved in those relationships where we felt loved because of the little things that someone has done for us. And we've also been in those relationships where we have been frustrated or perhaps made angry by the little things that that person has done. Sometimes it's the same person, right? Especially if they're in our lives a lot of hours. It's the little things. I'm the sort of person who, in our work and relationship together, will always paint for us a big picture. It's often one that you and I will put together, but I think it's important to have these big things that we can see out there, a direction where we're going, and perhaps some way stations along the way as to how we will get to this place. But you know, I think that it's really important to remember that when it comes down to our day-to-day lives and our journey of faith, it's the little things. For the past few weeks, we've been reading from the Gospel of Matthew, where Matthew has been teaching his disciples what it means to be a disciple. We've talked about various things. Last week, we talked about the danger of being a disciple of Jesus. We talked about that in this service. But this week, Jesus takes a little different tack with the folks, and he says to them, in essence, it's the little things. When you go into a village and you are welcomed, be appreciative. It's the little things. And there's this wonderful phrase right at the end of the gospel for today. And even if they give a glass of water to one of you, it is a good thing. It's the little things. I have a story about the little things. When people ask me about my family, I'll talk about my father and my mother. And sometimes I will talk about my brother, who's almost 12 years older than myself. And usually the conversation then veers off on, well, that must have been like being an only child. Well, yes, the year I finished first grade, he graduated from high school and left. And all of those kinds of things. But I seldom talk about my sister. And most folks don't know that I have a sister. had a sister. My sister was born about 15 months before me. And she had a birth defect. It made it impossible for her to digest food. Now, 10 years later, this deficiency was corrected by a very simple surgery. But in the mid-50s, that wasn't possible. My parents, my father was in his first pastorate as a Methodist pastor. He had 4 little churches that my parents referred to the location as being down on the bend in the river, because it was in a bend on the Tennessee River in a very, very rural area. 4 little churches didn't pay much, and they lived in a broken down house that they called a parson. And as you would imagine, my sister required a lot of medical attention. She was in and out of hospitals. She died in June, and I was born in mid-December. My parents didn't have anything. And as I was born, and right after that, they had some very serious concerns about what Christmas was going to be. My brother was 11. They had no money to buy even a trinket or anything for him, and they were concerned about actually eating at Christmas. So a couple of days before Christmas, bewildered by the whole situation, one of my parents went down to the mailbox and opened it, and there were the usual bills and stuff that were weighing them down. And there was a box that held kitchen matches. Now, you have to be of a certain age to understand that distinction. You got it. Which seemed strange to find in one's mailbox. And they opened the box of kitchen matches, and there were a few dollars in it. And there may have been a note that said Merry Christmas or something, but there was no indication of any type as to what or from whom this had come. It was a very little thing that was huge for my family. They were able to have something because of that little act, a simple act. It's the little things. It's looking into the eyes of someone new whose face looks like they're sad. It's a simple welcome to a new person who walks in these doors or the doors of our home. It's the little thing. It's a cup of water to a worker who's out on this weather as it is now in the summer in Florida. It's the little things. It's the little things in our day-to-day lives. It's the little things in our journey of faith. It's the silent prayers that pass through our minds when we see someone who's been hurt. It's putting our arm around the shoulder of someone who's a friend who is hurting. It's the little things. big pictures, big events, they're all great and they're wonderful. But it's even the little glass of water that someone gives to you that makes all the difference in the world. It's the little things. Amen.